right? I have a personal trainer, and my personal trainer has taught me a lot about how to get to my specific aesthetic goals for my body. But it's like, there might be someone else in my group, right? In my personal training, like group coaching, whatever. And I am getting the results that I want, but the other person is not getting what they want, right? Same thing. Going to the same market, same candles, one person wins, one person doesn't. Same thing with this. We go to the same coaching program, eat the same things, right? But I am actually getting the goals that I want, but they're not. In that case, it's most likely because of the way that they actually do the other half, which is the working out portion. So if we're both eating the same things, we have the same coach, we know we're both eating well, but I work out and they don't. Guess what? It doesn't matter what else is the same. We're going to get two different results. And that's really the point, is that food is not the issue. It's the actual consistency behind how the person uses the food. Because I'm using the nutrition to my purpose of getting the body that I want. But what they're doing is they're eating and then they're not using the nutrition, and now they're probably gaining weight, or they're just maintaining weight, looking the same, or looking worse, or feeling worse. So that one person, so that's me, I'm taking advantage of the whole system, the whole program, doing exactly what my coach tells me to do, and then they're kind of half doing it, and they're getting their half results. So think about the Proverbs verse again, right? It talks about the farm. In this aspect, the market of trading is your farm. Every single day, it produces enough opportunity because it produces trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars circulating every single day. And somebody winning does not mean that you make less money. That's not how trading works. You cannot afford to believe that. One of the myths about trading is that, oh, well, we're fighting against these buyers and sellers, and if I win, then they lose, and if they lose, I win. It doesn't work that way. That's not how the markets work, and you cannot afford to be believing that, because if you believe that, you're going to set yourself up to lose so much more than you need to, because that's not how it works. How it actually works is like a farm, right? You go in, you can harvest whatever you need to, and then guess what? Everybody else gets to harvest whatever they need to. My land doesn't contradict your land, and your land doesn't contradict my land. Everybody's land is different. The point that I'm making here is that most traders do not fail because the market is unfair. They lose and they fail, or they quit before their first year is even up because they never build the thing that can collect the opportunity. Okay, that's the difference. Think about it. If you're working out and you're eating right, you're going to get the body. But if you're eating right, you're not working out, you're not going to get the body. You can never capture the opportunity of all the good nutrients you're giving your body, right? That's literally the cheat code. Put good stuff in your body and use it the right way, and those two things together get you the body that you want. But what most traders think is they take one class, they watch one video, they practice one time a week, and then they think that that's going to translate into dollars and profitability, and it's just never going to do that. So if you actually want to be able to use the opportunity that you're looking at every single day, then my channel is definitely a great place to start. Everything is in one place, step by step, very clear for beginner traders, in a playlist. But if you want to watch my real life trades, watch me trade, and basically copy how I analyze the charts and copy how I analyze candlesticks, then my watch and learn playlist will definitely be for you. So that is basically how you turn all the nutrients from the food into muscle and to being ripped and shredded. It's the same thing. Use all of your market to extract the opportunity it gives you every single day. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Be honest with yourself for a second. By the time you're analyzing a chart, the trade was already decided. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because that discomfort is the point that most traders miss and makes them quit within their first year when they're perfectly capable. So in this video, I want to explain something most traders do not want to admit. It's that the chart isn't actually where most decisions are made. The charts are just where decisions were justified. Traders absolutely love to believe that their objective which means things like you wait for confirmation, you follow your rules, you let price tell you what to do. We've all said those things, but that is not actually what is happening. What's actually happening is this: feeling shows up within you, and then the charts get involved. You don't automatically turn on your feelings when you open up TradingView in the morning. No, when you wake up in the morning, there's a feeling that is internally there. You do not wake up neutral, ever. You're never undecided, right? When you show up to a session to trade, you're already carrying either the good day from yesterday, the bad day from yesterday, the pressure to perform. It's the last day of the month. You want to make sure your P&L looks really great. Maybe you have some overconfidence from trading. There's maybe even some frustration that you feel, right? And once that internal state exists, the trade has already been leaning towards one direction. And the chart is simply permission at this point. And this is the part that nobody really wants to say out loud, which is fine, but it's true. You do not enter a trade because the setup was perfect. You enter because you want to be in the trade. You feel like this is the trade that's going to go great, it's going to shoot up, or that you don't want to miss out on a certain move, or you just want to confirm who you think that you are today. And the chart never decides. The candlesticks don't really decide. They just give you permission. It's just the way that you act out those decisions. But here is where traders actually get stuck for years, or they quit within their first year. It's because they get very, very aware of this. You will legitimately have a journal, and then you write things on the journal saying, I entered too early, I forced that trade, this was an emotional trade, I shouldn't have done that. And then you think in your head, oh, I see it on paper, I know what I did wrong, so now I can fix it because I know what I did wrong. But awareness was never meant to be the solution. That is why on the first of the month you can write down a problem, and then 30 days later you're writing down that exact same problem, and then a month later you're writing down that exact same problem again. It's because awareness only names the problem. When you're aware of something, you're aware of a problem, you're aware of something that you're doing, that doesn't interrupt the thing that you're doing. So you know that you're emotional, but you can still click the button, even though you're aware of it. You can recognize that you have the urge to want to trade, and then you can still go and trade, even though you know you're not supposed to. You can literally predict a mistake that you're going to make and repeat it anyways. That is not a lack of intelligence. It is a lack of containment. And you're going to journaling thinking that it's going to give you the structure and the containment that you need. But the traders that I work with didn't suddenly gain more insight. They did not become smarter or more intelligent. I only work with traders that already know how to trade. What they did is they stopped relying on awareness to control their behavior, because it simply doesn't work like that. It's never going to stop your behavior just because you now notice it. So if you've ever said, I don't know why I took that trade, and you wrote down in your journal or thought to yourself, I knew better, right? I want you to comment down below the word state and see how many people are also dealing with that same thing. And if it feels like your best intentions always disappear the moment the 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the markets are open, as soon as it becomes Monday and now it's time to trade and all your intentions go out the window, it's because the decisions do not start on the chart. They start within you. And every day that you ignore that being the fact, it's going to continue to perpetuate itself. It's going to keep happening. So I want to give you 3 things that you can do immediately to interrupt this before the charts ever get involved. There's a private training that is linked in my description box that explains it clearly. It's free to watch. Definitely go watch it. You might just think that your losses are always the market's fault, from the news to volatility to the reversals and all that stuff. But the brutal truth is that even the most perfect setup that's waiting right there with 600% gains, waiting for you to just snatch it right up, can still be completely messed up. And most traders don't even realize that. So chasing after better setups, better strategies, and better indicators may not be the problem, because I see it every single day with students who are legitimately intelligent in trading. They know how to trade. They know their setups and their risk. They know their trading math. It's all there. And yet they keep blowing accounts. The reason why is because the trade itself is not the problem. It's how they approach it internally. And by the end of this video, you're going to see why any trade, no matter how clean, how A plus, how perfect it is, can still be ruined, and what to do instead of just throwing more money at it. If you want to hear what I have to say on this topic, make sure to subscribe to this channel and smash the like button so that you don't miss other videos like this. And if you want to take this topic deeper, I have a private training you can watch for free. It's the first link in the description box. I'm going to break this video down into parts. Part number one, the market is not your enemy. The market doesn't care about you. I'm so sorry, but it's not out to get you. The reality is most traders are going to blame the market anyways. But if you actually think about it, every single loss you've ever had, doesn't matter how many of them, but were they all because of the market? Sure, some news hit that you weren't aware of. There were some setups that were invalidated, but the majority of blown trades and losses are you. It's your behavior. It's your approach. It's your internal state. And I want you to take a second and really consider that. Any trade you make, perfect or not, can be ruined if your brain is in the wrong place. And the part that shocks people is that you can know how to trade and still be in the wrong state. That's when the greenest trades turn red. And that's when your discipline is going to collapse. And when you justify just one more trade or justify over leveraging. Part number two on why your internal state is going to change everything for you, because it changed everything for me. I call it your internal state. And what I mean is the way that your brain feels and reacts while trading. Are you focused? Are you calm? Are you neutral? Are you carrying frustration? Agreed. There's some boredom, fear from the last trade. It doesn't matter, but even one tiny misalignment in your state is enough to blow a trade. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. You can see all of the signals and the math and the risk, and it will not matter if your brain and your mind is not aligned. You will make decisions you don't even notice until after the fact. But most traders don't even stop to check this. They trade because they know how. You know how to trade. They think that's enough. You know how to read a chart. You think that's enough. But the thing is, knowing how to trade is not the same thing as trading with intention. And so if you keep thinking your losses are the market, you're never going to get this. You're always going to blind yourself and feel like, oh, it's the market's fault. You're never going to actually want to look at this. But the market is a mirror of your internal state. And every loss is a reflection of the trader that you brought to the market. And the myth of fixing the loss, which is part three. This is where most people get trapped, because you take a loss and your first thought is, I need to get this money back. So you add more money to your account, or you push your leverage, or you reset your account and you push harder and you chase setups. And the worst part is that you feel like this is logical, because it is, because you already know how to trade. So why wouldn't you go? If you know how to trade, why wouldn't you just go back and try again? But the problem is you think you can brute force it. And that's exactly the wrong approach, because more money does not fix a misaligned internal state. Money can't fix that. Continuing a trade doesn't fix that. Trading again doesn't fix that. All those things do is stack more mistakes on top of the first one. And the kicker, really the funny part, the better you get at trading, the easier it is to lie to yourself. Because you can see the setup, you know the math, you've done this before, you've made profitable trades. You can rationalize literally everything. You can literally rationalize something that's completely misaligned. And that's where even the most profitable strategies are going to fail, when your state is not aligned. I made a video about the two types of losses. There's only two types of losses. A loss is either the market invalidating a perfect setup, or it was you breaking the rules. There's only two types of losses. The critical insight is that neither of them are fixed by taking another trade. None of them are fixed by adding more money or reducing or increasing your risk. Your job is not to fix those trades. Your job is to align yourself before the next trade. And in that video, I go deeply into how to do specific solutions for both types of losses, because they're not the same. You might be trying to fix one type of loss with a different type of solution, and it's never going to work. So watch that video to know what strategy to use for what type of loss. But the market is literally a probabilistic environment. Nothing is broken in the market. The companies and industries and the institutions making multi-million dollars every day don't care about your 10K month. They're not trying to get you out of the game. Nothing needs to be fixed because nothing is broken. And when you lose, actually nothing needs to be restored. The only thing that matters is your execution over time. And that starts with you, not your trades. Part number 5, how to actually start aligning. So how do you stop blowing accounts even when you know how to trade? You start by checking your internal state before every trade, mentally, physically, emotionally. You ask yourself very simple questions. Am I trading because I want money? Am I trading because I need validation? Or because I'm bored? Or because I'm calm? Or actually, I feel really neutral. I'm just ready to execute my plan. Because if you're not aligned, don't touch the charts. Even if the setup is perfect, because you will mess it up and you will leave your money on the table. You'll leave profit on the table. You'll make profit and go give it back. And even if that opportunity seems huge and you don't want to miss it, you're so much better off waiting until you feel neutral because it's cheaper to trade that way. It's a very expensive problem I'm solving on this channel. And this is not about discipline. It's about structural alignment. It's about actual structure. And your nervous system will guide your success. Or it can guide your failures if you let it. But if you want me to walk you through the exact framework my students use, and I use it too, to stay aligned, stop overtrading, I want you to check out the free private training that's linked in my description box. It's the first link in there. For part number 6, we're going to discuss some common internal traps. We're going to talk about some red flags. You can watch this video for the top 10 red flags of traders who are about to blow their account. Here's what I see every single day. Traders who are experienced and know how to trade, but still blow accounts because they ignore internal flags. Though number 1 is emotional entanglement from previous trades, 2, overconfidence after a green day or a green week and you ignore risk, you risk everything. Number 3 is frustration after a loss and trying to go get it back immediately. Number 4, being ego-driven, having ego-driven trading, proving that you're right instead of trying to prove yourself you can follow the rules. And number 5 is lack prioritization. You are trading for excitement, not strategy. You actually care more about these opportunities instead of your profit. That's just a summary. I recommend you go watch the 10 red flags video. But if you recognize those flags in yourself, when they pop up, you can actually change them in real time. And that is where your P&L actually starts to show the trader you actually want to be. The truth is so simple that any trade can be messed up. If your internal state is off, it doesn't matter. The most profitable traders succeed not because they're smarter or luckier. Succeed because we can control ourselves. We can control the thing that matters the most, and that is ourself. So we're going to stop blaming ourselves and we're going to start just observing ourselves and catch ourselves in real time. If this video hit home for you, I have the free private training that walks you through the exact alignment steps, the exact checks, alignments, and frameworks that my students use to stop overtrading and start trading as a neutral trader. The link is in the description, and I invite you to watch it right now. It's a very short video, about 15 minutes. Grab a snack and watch it before the day is over. Most day traders believe they lose money because they misread the market. My entry was wrong. It's because my stop loss was off. If that were true, if that were like the only reason, then improvement would be very simple. You would just fix the setup, you would just learn more, you would optimize the strategy and just fix it until it worked. Yet, most traders already know what they should do, they just don't do it. And that's why improvement isn't as what it seems. Like, this contradiction is the clue, because the truth is very, very uncomfortable. The majority of trading decisions are made before analysis ever begins. It's not conscious. It's not logical either. It's all emotional. Every single trade comes from an emotional internal state. A psychological posture that you're in is going to determine what happens when you open the chart, because your internal state is going to decide what you notice, what you ignore, what feels obvious to you, what feels urgent. So 2 traders can literally look at the same chart, the same ticker, and one waits very patiently, and the other one's going to force an entry. Same market, same data, 2 different internal states in the same exact market. And that is why post-market journaling fails majority of the time, because it assumes the decision happened during the analysis, and it doesn't. It happens before the analysis. So I'm going to slow this down, and in this video, I'm going to break down about your last impulsive trade. Don't look at your last worst trade. Look at your last impulsive trade that didn't feel clean. Before you entered, were you calm? Were you trying to make back a loss? Were you bored? Were you riding confidence from last week because you won a lot last week and you feel like you're just that guy or that girl? Most traders can't answer that question. It's not because there was no internal state. It's because you're not acknowledging it. And honestly, emotion does not announce itself. It doesn't say, hey, I am feeling very frustrated right now and I'm about to override your entire plan. This is an A+ setup, but I'm about to make you lose everything you made last week. And we don't notice it. And that's why awareness is so hard, because it is intentional. It's like a very intentional decision. And that's why before every trade, you have to stop for 5 seconds. You don't analyze, you don't put any key levels, you don't rationalize, you don't adjust the charts, you don't pull up 2 tickers to start just watching stuff. You first look at yourself and you label your internal state with one word. Are you confident? Do you feel rushed? Do you feel bored? Are you on a time constraint? You're trying to force a trade into a time window. Do you feel hopeful? Do you feel detached? Do you feel frustrated? Just label it with one word before you ever look at a chart, because your internal state is going to dictate what happens on that chart. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, you can still blow an account if your internal state is frustrated and you're trying to force a trade. And the reason why this works is because when you're naming an emotion, it creates separation. The moment you label it, you now are observing it. You're now aware of it. And that small pause, whether it's 5-10 seconds, is literally what can save your account. And most day traders skip it because it feels very soft. It feels very simple. I've come so far. You're telling me to just not do a trading thing. You're telling me just sit for 5 seconds and think about my internal state. Because this is the resistance is literally what's going to tell you what the problem is. Because under pressure, this is where control disappears. The deeper truth is that you do not need better discipline. You don't need more journaling. You don't need more praying. You don't need more meditating. You need to be more aware of how you feel earlier. Because by the time discipline shows up, the emotion has already been there. And that is what dictates what happens on the charts. And if you don't ever see that clearly, then nothing else is ever going to stick. And it's really not laziness if you haven't done this before. It's just that most traders usually skip this. And this is the foundation. Without it, every single rule is fragile. Every single rule, every single piece of experience you have cannot withstand an unaligned emotional state. This is where real change starts. If you're an experienced trader and you continue to blow accounts, I really want to invite you to watch the private training that is the first link in the description box. It's going to show you exactly why you're still doing it, although you know exactly how to trade and you have the experience, but you have a good running streak and then you lose it all. You have a great running streak and then you can't seem to make a win. It's going to explain that directly to you. I want you to comment down below the last time you had an impulsive trade. I really want to continue the conversation in the comments so that I can just get to know you guys a little bit more, and I'll see you down in the comment section. I'm going to say something so simple, but if you actually want to survive long enough to make money in options trading, in futures trading, in whatever market you trade, you have to learn how to end on a good note, not a high note. Not when you start to feel invincible and you start to feel super successful and you have this ego about you. Not end when you're all hyped up and you're feeling like you're the smartest person in the earth. I'm telling you right now, if you do not learn how to stop trading, you will never be able to make it. Because money is the reward. Money is the reward that you get for your patience, for your skill, for your knowledge. Ego is not your reward. And I'm going to tell you that your bills don't take ego as a form of payment. Neither do your credit cards or any of your expenses. And most traders don't lose because they don't know how to make money. You know how to trade. They lose because they don't know how to stop making trades. You just don't know when to stop trading. And that's what this specific video is going to be all about. If you're interested in hearing what I have to say, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video, because we're not talking about entries, we're not talking about strategies, we're not talking about indicators or charts, because you already know how to trade. It's about learning where to stop. I often hear this with my students in application after application for my coaching. So it's about learning where to stop, and more importantly, learning why thus far you might have refused to stop and you just feel like you just can't stop. There's this invisible pull that's been pulling you into trades. I'm going to break this video down into sections. This first section is titled "The Skill That Nobody Talks About." You have to watch the whole video to get the full idea. But there is a skill that nobody talks about in trading. It is not risk management, although I make videos on that too. I think it's super important, but it's also not discipline. It's not patience. I've made videos about all of these things, but what's so much more important is the ability to stop trading when you're already in profit. I don't really ever see traders that don't know how to trade. It's that they make a lot of money, they make profit, and it sounds really ridiculous, but then they just lose it all. And most accounts weren't blown just from already losing. They were blown from winning. You blow an account means you're losing money. You can't lose money you didn't make. So you made money and then you went and lost it. So people are making money. It's happening every single day. And then they're giving that money back to the market. And sometimes a little bit more than you would like to. Then you make more and then you give that back too. So eventually what's going to happen is you hit a drawdown that is so deep and you collapse psychologically and you start to force trades to get that money go back green. We're going to avoid all this, because the real question is not, how do I make money? Because you already have a strategy and you already know how to make money, because you already know how to trade. The question is, how do I keep myself from undoing what I already made in the market? How do I keep the profit that I have already secured? The profit that's already mine? And the answer is not more rules. The answer is not more willpower. You cannot willpower yourself to securing more money. The answer is not more motivation and more speeches and more talks. It's about learning the one skill nobody talks about, which is learning how to end on a good note. I can make 50 videos about this one topic, but we're going to go into section number 2 to break it down a little more deeply, which is money is the reward, not your ego. If we are being really brutally honest, most of you are not trading for money. You might think you are. You might be telling yourself you are, but you're not. You're trading for emotional resolution. It sounds like a big word, but you're just trying to resolve your emotions through trading, right? You're trading to feel an emotion. You're trying to feel right. You're trying to feel smart. You're trying to feel powerful. You're trying to redeem yourself, feel like you're in control. And that's why you don't stop, because you need to resolve that emotion, and you're choosing to do it through trading. And when you stop trying to trade, it feels like you're quitting on the emotion that you're trying to resolve. And stopping feels like a literal weakness. Stopping feels like you're leaving something on the table, which is not true, because your bills, the expenses you're required to pay every single month, do not care about any of that at all. Your landlord does not accept confidence as a form of payment. Chase, Amex, Wells Fargo, Navy Federal, no credit card company is going to accept good intentions. Oh, I tried to keep my profit. I tried. No, the grocery store, Publix and Kroger are not going to accept vibes as a form of payment. They take money, they take dollars. So in trading, I want you to remember that trading is not about anything else besides money being the reward. So every time you keep trading, after you said you would stop, you are choosing ego over income. That's it. So that's the trade you're actually making. The third section I want to discuss is that trading is 180 degrees of what feels good. 180 degrees means reverse. So here's what most people get wrong in trading. Most traders, they try to trade the way that most people live. In life, optimism is rewarded. Positive thinking helps you. It keeps you in a good spirit, a good vibration, a good frequency, right? You want to focus on the things that motivate you, and you want to focus on that silver lining, the sunset, right? In life, being pessimistic feels very toxic, but in trading, it's literally the opposite. And when I learned this actually in business, but I applied it to trading and it works here too. Because if you try to be optimistic in trading, you're going to die. If you think every trade's going to work in your favor, you're going to die. If you ignore the downside in trading, you're going to die. If you only focus on what could go right, you're going to die. This is how business works too. So in trading, survival comes from pessimism, not emotional pessimism of thinking negative about yourself, not being depressive or whatever. It comes from structural pessimism. If you don't know what that means, look it up. The constant awareness of what could go wrong. And I'm going to tell you from experience as an active trader, it feels very bad. It feels restrictive. It feels like somebody's telling you what to do. And that's the point why we want to trade, for freedom, right? But when we have to use this type of logic to make money, it feels limiting and restrictive. But that's why it works. It's literally why it works. So I'm going to explain this deeply in section number 4, why pessimism feels wrong. Okay? Most of you subconsciously reject pessimism, which is okay, because we're taught that we need to have good thoughts, good vibrations, whatever. And the reason why you do this is because you associate it with negativity, because that's what we're taught to do. You think that if I focus on the downside, then I'll manifest losses. I used to think like this before I was profitable. No, if you ignore the downside, you guarantee your losses. And I need you to write that down. There's a very big difference, because in trading, pessimism is not a mindset. It's not a negative mindset. It's not a mindset at all. It's an account survival tool. Your account will blow up if you do not think like this, or if you keep rejecting thinking like this. If you keep rejecting it, it's gonna happen, right? It's the thing that tells you, I've made enough money today, I'm gonna stop. You just had 2 great large trading days in a row. Stop trading. It tells you you're emotionally elevated right now. You need to stop. You're up for the month, you're up for the week. Stop trading. And this is where profits start to lock in for you. Section number 5, I want to discuss gratitude and pessimism are the same coin. Have you ever heard of pessimism and gratitude and thought they were different? They're not opposite. They're 2 sides of the exact same coin. They are the same coin. They're the same thing. Gratitude says, I'm thankful for what I made in trading. Pessimism says, I'm aware of what I could lose. They're the same side. They're 2 different sides of the same coin. So they both lead to the same behavior, which is stopping. Doesn't matter what side of the coin you use. If you use either side, you're gonna stop. If you're grateful for what you made, you stop. If you're aware of how fragile your profits are, then you stop, especially when you understand that if you haven't sent that money to your bank account, it's still not realized. But they only work together. Those two things only work together, because you cannot be grateful and reckless at the same time. You cannot be pessimistic and overconfident at the same time. I get comments on my YouTube channel all the time. I lost money because I was overconfident. That can't exist with that at the same time. The next thing I want to talk about is why you can't stop trading when you're already up. You already made money and you can't stop. This is really the real problem, and I want to talk about this because why can't you stop when you're green? If you've already made money, why can't you stop? And I hear it all the time as the word greed. I used to call it greed. It's not really greed. It's attachment to feeling like you're winning. And you can't feel like you're winning if you stop. You're attached to feeling of being in sync with the market. You're attached to the feeling of being right. You're attached to the feeling of today is my day. I'm making so much money. And you never want that feeling to stop. So you keep trading. Eventually the market will close anyways. So if the market's going to close anyways, then you're going to have to stop at some point. But even when the quality of a setup drops, even when your emotional state is going to shift, and even when your rules say that you should stop, you don't stop because it feels too good to stop. And that's exactly why you should stop. Some people think there's never enough. And this is the part that nobody really wants to hear, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that there's never enough in trading. No amount of money will ever make you feel complete. If you make $500 today, you'll want $1,000 on your next trade. If you make $1,000, you'll make $2,500 on your next trade. If you make $5,000, then you'll just simply want $10,000 on the next trade. That desire is never going to end. Don't you understand that? So if you don't consciously set your own limits, which means to think about it, consciously set your own limits, the market will set them for you and charge you market tuition for the hassle. It will. And it's going to set them violently and charge you market tuition for that. And you don't want to pay market tuition when you already know how to trade. So the hidden reason that you overtrade, I want to discuss this too. You do not overtrade because you love trading. You overtrade because you do not trust yourself to be done and to stay off the charts. You think when you close the charts, you'll probably open them back up. You don't actually believe within you that was enough for today. You actually believe I should make more while it's working, because tomorrow there might not be a setup. Next week there might not be a setup. If I'm making money now, I gotta stay in and make more money. And this is the belief that is going to literally kill you, because markets don't care about your momentum. This happy-go-lucky ride that you're on, they don't care. They don't care that you're feeling hot. They don't care that you're locked in. They don't care. They will flip on you whenever they feel like it. And especially if you're feeling hot, feeling all this stuff, you're not going to see it when the flip is there. You're going to be blinded. So don't blind yourself. Ending on a good note means this: you stop while you still feel good. You don't stop when you feel euphoric and your ego is on 1,000,000 and you're on cloud 10, right? Not when you feel invincible and like you're Superman or Superwoman. You just quit when you feel satisfied and you feel good and you feel calm and you feel neutral. This is something this is something a lot of people can't even do in their real lives, because that emotional state is the one that is going to get you forward.